All right, here we go. Sorry, 2 minutes past 12. Busy morning, but it's all fun, and I'm here now. So let's get started straight away with Magic Monday. Press the button for media assets live. Oh my goodness, I've flippin' messed up over here on, what's it called? Instagram. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, and in he comes. Yes, you know what it is. Let's just do that with that one. Oh, bit of preparation, or a little bit longer for preparation would have been good today. I prepared everything. I did it all yesterday. Great weeks start on Sunday. Remember that. But this is what I want to do today. It's the
start of the week. Grab your coffee cups. It's Magic Monday Live.
Magic Monday Live. And today I'm talking about the battle or the win. So I've written my newsletter for Thursday. And I've written my Substack for Thursday. And I've written my LinkedIn post, my Facebook post, and my Instagram post for Thursday. And I'm now doing a live version today on a Monday. It used to be that I just used to do a newsletter on a Thursday and a live on a Monday, and now there's so much more one has to do. And it is interesting to see how your brain, how one's brain deals with these things. I have to have a spreadsheet now where I tick them all off to make sure I've done everything. It's quite a thing to have to consider. Anyway, I hope that you enjoy them. Otherwise, I'm just going to stop. Too much. It takes me 2.5 hours every week to set them all up. And then another 15 minutes to present this one. And you're probably thinking, yeah, Michael, get on with it. Get on with it. What you're talking about today. So I've got some notes in electronic format. And I'm talking about the wins and the battles. And which is most important? What do you think? What would your vote go with? Is it the battle or is it the win? Well, let's have a think about some classic battles that have taken place. And I want you to tell me who won. So your job is to get on the comments today, if you can, and let me know who has won these epic battles. So the first one, Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. Come on. Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. Pop it in the comments. Who has won that battle? Now, you can measure it in any way you like, but I would like you to pop into the comments Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. The next one, we're going to do the answers in a second. VHS versus Betamax. Now, I know who won in the end, but what's interesting for me is a bit about the battle and about why it took place and why didn't we all use Betamax? Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal. Let's do that one again. Roger Federer. It's like a what do you call it? A tongue twister. Roger Federer versus Rafa Nadal. Who had the most Grand Slam titles? Yes. My favourite one. This is a really good one. Rocky versus Apollo Creed. Who won? The other day, I went out on a run and I had some thermal jogging bottoms on, and then my shorts on top, and then I had like 3 tops on, and then a sweatshirt on top of that, and then a big scarf thing, and a hat, and gloves, and my little end bits of my legs sort of sticking out, and Christine said that I looked like what was it, a pound shop Rocky. And my next door neighbour Gavin, when he saw me, said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going for a run." He went, "Like that?" Which I thought was excellent. I did have a little laugh at that. So Rocky versus Apollo Creed. Star Wars, flipping heck. Learn to speak today, Michael. Star Wars versus Star Trek. Which is the biggest franchise? Which one's earned most in the global box office? This one could surprise you. Next one, Nike versus Adidas. Okay, which is the biggest brand? Nike or Adidas? Manchester United, Liverpool. Which club has won the most major trophies? Now, these are classic battles, aren't they? We see these battles all the time. All the time. Classic battles that would take place. If you know an answer, if you want to have a go at an answer, just pop it in the chat. Even if you're watching on replay, pop it in the chat. It's fun. Why not? You could win a prize. Unlikely, but you could win a prize. Next one, space race. Let's do it this way. Who was the first country to put a man in space? Or a human in space? Next one. Let's have a look at consoles. Remember video consoles? There was a big battle between Sega and Sony. There was also Nintendo in there, but I'm trying to do these one-on-ones in terms of the battles. But what would you say? Sega versus Sony. Which one won the battle? And finally, classic one that's used in multiple examples, Netflix versus Blockbuster. So let's have a look at the answers, and this time I'm going to explore a little bit about the battles. Okay? So here we go. Number one, Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. Well, of course, Coca-Cola still has the highest market share, but spends less on advertising. It's interesting. And I think the key thing with that is that the brand recognition of Coca-Cola is so strong. And so Pepsi came up with this idea to really get involved with the battle, and they came up with something called the Pepsi Taste Test. Do you remember it? The Pepsi Taste Test. And if you do the Pepsi Taste Test, it was completely legit, by the way. The way they did it was absolutely legit. And more people preferred Pepsi. But do you know why? It's because it's sweeter, and on the first taste, Pepsi tastes better. But if you drink a full can, Coke tastes better. So all they did was the taste test, not the drink a can test. Quite clever, eh? VHS versus Betamax. Do you remember that battle? Ha ha ha. That was fun. I do remember having that decision to make at one point in my life. And the techie Michael was like, we should definitely get Betamax. It's much better quality. And then there was a video shop at the top of our road. It was a classic thing. It was out somebody's back room that they'd converted into a video shop. And the number of Betamax choices was less than the number that he had in the little box under the counter. Remember the box under the counter? No idea what was in there, but he had a box under the counter with special videos, apparently. But there was less choice for Betamax. So if you're recording stuff at home, yeah, Betamax was always going to be better. But in the end, even though it wasn't as good, VHS won. Sony were the big people behind Betamax, and they lost this one. Next one, Roger Federer versus Rafa Nadal. And Karen Hughes is here, and she got this one spot on. There we go. Nadal. Yay. And hello, Karen. Nice to see you. So I thought that was a nice one. I've kind of lost my notes now. There we go. My favourite one. Now, nobody's guessed this one yet, so let's come on. I want two people, at least during the live, to have a little guess here. Rocky versus Apollo Creed. Come on, who won? It's a classic movie, isn't it? Who won? Anybody? Nobody. I'm going to tell you it was. Apollo Creed won. But we don't remember that. No, we don't. We remember the battle. That's what we remember. Star Wars versus Star Trek. Which one has the biggest global reach? That was a good guess, Karen. Yes, Apollo Creed. Angie said Rocky. Thanks for guessing, by the way. I appreciate you joining in. These just take a couple of seconds to come through. I probably need to give you a little bit longer. Star Wars versus Star Trek. Star Wars has earned more in the global box office than Star Trek. And you kind of think, well, of course that's the case. But I did try to throw you a little bit on that one. Did it work? No, of course. Everyone knows Star Wars. But big battles. And the Trekkies and what would the Star Wars fans be called? Star Warsians Warheads, Star Wars fans, and Trekkies have got a better name, haven't they? They have these big things where they actually go to conventions and they talk about all sorts of stuff. Get very deep. Nike versus Adidas. Okay, come on, which is the biggest brand? It is Nike. If you've read the book Shoe Dog, it is remarkable, absolutely remarkable to read that book, and that is about the battle. I know Nike have come out on top in the end, but really the battle is extraordinary. So yeah, Phil Knight's book Shoe Dog, superb. Manchester United versus Liverpool. Which club has won the more major trophies in total? The answer is, Angie had a guess here. She guessed United won more. No, it's Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool have won more. That's good. Space race. The Soviet Union put the first human in space. Well, we know that, don't we? But that must have been a big one. Can you imagine that battle when it was taking place, if you were on one of the teams, when it must have felt like constantly, every day, the Russians have done this, or the Americans have done this. That was my terrible Russian accent, but we'll try. Sega versus Sony versus Nintendo. Now, I have only got the two. I've got stats for two. Sega versus Sony. So Sony, remember, lost the battle on formats with VHS versus Betamax. But when it came to the 16-bit console war, Sega won. Sega won, yeah. Angie, what was the football question? It was, which team has won the most major trophies in total? Now, if I'm wrong about it, I blame the internet. I blame the Google. And finally, of course, we all know about Netflix and Blockbuster, but that was an interesting battle because you can imagine, remember when Netflix started? I used to say to my daughter, who got a very early Netflix account, I mean, have you seen the stuff that's on? It's like the stuff you get in the bargain basket at the local garage. You know, the DVDs. That's the type of stuff that you would get there. So the battles that have shaped, who formed what we consume, what we buy, what we do, what we believe, I think are more important than the win. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But I tell you where I'm definitely not wrong. How they form you. When you have a battle. When you have a personal battle with somebody, with something, with a boss, with another brand. Anybody who's set up a business knows what it's like to have a battle at some point. A battle with a supplier, a battle with a customer, a battle with a competitor. And these are the things that really form who we are. They make us the people who we are. And I find it really interesting that when we look back, those battles, we mightn't have won them, but actually it didn't matter. I know that sometimes, I did launches of things and they weren't particularly good, but I became a better person because of doing the launch. I remember doing events and ended up doing an event on the exact same day as somebody else, and my event absolutely tanked, but it didn't matter because I knew what I needed to do and I knew what I needed to do in future. I remember releasing books, writing books and launching them at the same time as other people were doing big books. And guess what? It didn't matter because longevity, especially if you're an author, is more important than a win. Unless it means getting to the Sunday Times #1 position just for 1 week. And then that's very important. I'll never stop banging on about it. I know. It was 15 years ago. I'll never stop banging on about it. So let's have a little look at who's here. Got some lovely people who've joined in. So Mike is here. Mike Fatcherty. I always could say that better, Mike. Mike Fatcherty. Henley Santa says Apollo, and he's here. I like this comment. Star Warriors. Star Wars fans are called Star Warriors. If they're not, they should be. Who else is here? We've got Karen saying, currently trying to get an interim grievance procedure adopted. Lots of stress, resistance, and wondering whether to continue. Karen, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the battle, and whatever the result, it will make you better. Whatever the result, it will make you better. Here's a one. Decker, battle for the Beatles or the Tremolos? They took the Tremolos. Wow. That's brilliant, Mike. I love it, by the way. If you want to give other examples, whether you're watching this on replay or live, just give me other examples. I love them. Here's Chris McConnell saying, good chat today. Thank you very much, Chris. That's great. Hope you are well. We've got other people here on Instagram, but somebody commented to me the other day, when I start looking at the Instagram one, my thumb just starts doing this all over the screen, and it can be a little bit disconcerting. So if you want to just do any comments, that's great. But otherwise, I'm going to... Oh, you see... Now, I've done that thing where I am inviting somebody to join the live. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, gosh. I think I put the date on for some reason. No idea how the heck I've done this. But if I popped the date on, I paused it, I apologise. For everybody else, thank you very much. On Thursday, in my newsletter, I write about the biggest battle. I didn't mention it once during this session. I want you to read my newsletter on Thursday and you will see the biggest battle of all. Have an absolutely awesome, brilliant week. And I will see you next Monday for more Magic Monday Live.